Joining me again here today at CVC Coaching for another of our podcast webinars. What we're trying to do is locate the experts in business that can help you, give you ideas, what it's all about, ways for you to reach your dreams. That's one of our goals here at CVC Coaching, is for everybody to go after their dreams. After all, that's why we're in business. And today, I got a guy, and this guy has been a mentor to me in many ways. I've known him a few years, and it's somebody that actually I rely on for creative stuff. Sometimes I'll have something in my mind. And it's like, hey, tell me your thoughts on this, because one of the things I found out about this guy is he really knows how the brain functions, and it's really amazing how different words and how colors and how things come together. So he's one of the guys that helps me. So today I'd like to welcome Carter Harkins of Spark Marketing to our podcast today. So Carter, how you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing good, Jerry. Thanks for having me on. This is a pleasure and an honor to be talking with you and working towards the same goal. One of the things I appreciate about you most is that you have such a passion for helping your clients and people in local small service businesses really be able to grow and thrive. So getting to be a part of your team and hearing the success stories that are coming from the work that you're doing with your clients, man, it's exciting. It's fun to be a part of it.
And that's the great thing about this, because, I consider you guys to be a part of what I call the CVC Dream Team. And I consider you like a network, and it's relationships that we've built, because what we do is we expect each other to take our customers and really exceed what the customer's expectations is. But, ever since I've met you and your partner, Taylor, it's really amazing, because you two guys are like the perfect yin and yang. It just blows my mind how you each have got your separate skill sets. You blend these together into what I see as a phenomenal partnership. So tell me something. How did you and Taylor first get together, and how in the world have y'all developed this partnership in business, and you stayed friends and you depend on each other? So tell me the background of that, Carter.
Yeah, so I've known Taylor since I was 16 years old, and I was pretty green behind the ears at that point. My life was entirely about music, and Taylor was doing some songwriting, and we hooked up just naturally because of songwriting. We did a lot of that. He moved to Nashville, and I still had to graduate high school. But after I graduated, about 2 years later, I moved up here, and we started songwriting. And in collaborative songwriting, there's this thing that happens. You're in this creative zone where you are putting your best ideas out there, and then somebody else is going to tell you what they think of them. And you've been around Taylor. He speaks his mind. He's pretty honest and pretty, he can be, very exacting about what he's looking for and what he wants. And so, to be in a collaborative environment like that, you have to completely trust the person that you're writing with and collaborating with to tell you what they're thinking and to provide creative ideas and work off of that. And so over the years, we've just really crafted a strong, just kind of created this space where he and I are free to speak our minds with one another and come out, because when you're songwriting, you're solving problems. Okay, you're thinking about how you're going to write a song to express an idea, and you got to make it rhyme, and it's got to be in a certain number of words that all kind of work together with the beat of the music. And so you're solving problems creatively, and that's essentially what we were doing. And of course, the music industry changed. This is back before the days of those three little letters that changed the world forever, MP3. The world just completely changed. The music industry shifted. It totally became a different thing. And as a result of that, we saw that we weren't going to make the kind of success that we wanted for our lives in the music industry We had a couple of close calls. We got involved writing a screenplay, the two of us with another partner, and we wrote this animated screenplay. We wrote all the music for it. It was a musical screenplay. We wrote all the music for it, and somehow Rod Stewart's business manager got interested in it because his son was the lead animator over at DreamWorks, and this was right at the beginning of DreamWorks when they were first launching their movie studio, and they wanted to do animated productions as well. And they looked at our screenplay as a really good way to launch and to get going. So we were sitting down and talking with them about, we were starting to talk numbers about what it would take to option this screenplay, and we were excited. It looked like things were going to happen. The financial payoff could have been huge, and then suddenly the lead animator that brought it to the table over there quit his job, left, and went to Warner Brothers, and the entire deal completely evaporated. I mean, one minute we're like, starting to talk about, 6- and 7-figure dollar investments and stuff, and the next minute it's like they won't return our phone calls. So I looked at Taylor and I said, man, bud, I don't know about you, but I am sick and tired of putting all my eggs in somebody else's basket. This does not work for my personality and the way I want to build something meaningful and lasting. So forget this. Let's just get into something else that's going to be, something we can control. It took us a while. I mean, we dissolved our publishing company that was a part of the music business. The music industry fell apart. I got married to someone. He got married to someone. We just kind of went on our way and did other things. But eventually, we found ourselves back talking to one another, having regular lunches together. He was working in SEO. I was designing websites. And we decided after a long discussion that we needed to we were stronger together. The partnership that we had formed way back when we were doing the collaborative songwriting and screenwriting, that partnership was still just as strong in solving other kinds of problems for businesses. And we decided that we were stronger together and needed to get back in business together. And that's when we started. And it has been a really strong partnership, and that is very unusual. I don't typically recommend partnerships to people. I know Taylor doesn't either as a form of business, but for us, it really has worked well. We complement each other. His strengths are my weaknesses, and my strengths are his weaknesses, but we have a lot of common strengths that really propel us well. It's been good.
Well, that kind of shows, and I think that's an addition to what we're going to talk about today, but you just hit on a key factor, which is, the way your business is set up and partnerships and making sure you have partners. One of the things, it's like one of the systems I'm studying in business is the EOS system, and that's an entrepreneurial operating systems. And in that, at the head of the company, you have to have two people. You got to have the visionary, and you've got to have the integrator. And so many times, and that's where it's hard for one person to do that. It's usually two, but then those two have to blend together. And what I've also heard you say, and I need to make sure on this, that you're a person that Taylor could say that's not going to work, and vice versa, where you actually play off of each other very well and hold each other as accountability partners. Would that be a true statement?
That is very, very true. I'm the dreamer. I come up with the wild ideas that, are going to require all sorts of logistics and planning and strategy and time in order to really commit to and do. And I haven't thought through all those things a lot of times when I come up with an idea, but Taylor's my sounding board, and together we sit and we hash it out. And sometimes that's painful, but eventually we come to an understanding of, okay, is this a good idea, first of all? Because that's the first thing you've always got to know. But a lot of times you got to find out whether it's a good idea by pounding on it and talking about all the reasons why it's going to take severe, changes in our business model, or it's going to take a lot of capital and cash. It's going to take an investment, and we got to have 3 other people that we don't have now in order to make this work. Those kinds of things. But I will say, as much as I like to think of myself just as the visionary and Taylor as the implementer, Taylor is an incredible implementer. He's great at logistics and strategy, But I will say that in our business, some of the best ideas that we've ever had as a company that have propelled us to the kinds of success that we're starting to see in our business, those have been ideas that have come from Taylor. So I don't want to ever paint the picture that he's not a visionary. It's the ideas that he comes up with. By the time he voices them and they start to materialize, he's already thought through those logistics pretty well, and we can just hit the ground running with those. And those have been a large part of our success.
And and that's one of the things that I've really enjoyed. I don't work for you. You guys don't work for me, but we work together and we have what I'm going to call joint ventures at times. I mean, it's like we just completed our first Success Summit. And yeah, it was called CVC Success Summit, but it was as much you guys as it was Jerry involved. And it's like in a couple weeks, the three of us are going to sit down for a day, and what we're doing is planning our next CBC Success Summit 2016. And what you guys have to do a lot of times is Jerry comes up with these real bright ideas, and Jerry's ready to move. I mean, let's move. And then luckily I've got you guys to say, now, Jerry, wait a minute. We got to do A, B, and C. So, that's where I depend on you guys to coach me a lot. So, I have a lot of trust in you guys, and I hope y'all feel the same about me.
Absolutely. And that's the strength, I think, of any good partnership. And, a partnership in business where you got two people's names as co-owners of the business is one thing, but there's no way any business owner can have the kind of success that they dream of if they think they're going to do it all and not have partners that they can rely on in their business. And those partnerships are vendors, those partnerships are sometimes even customers, but services and products, people that can deliver the things that they need in their business to turn the wheels and get those gears turning and get that machine really humming and working to generate revenue and the kind of success that you want. And we look at you as a partner in our business just like you look at us as a partner in yours. And that's the kind of thing that I think lends to the kind of success. We want people speaking into our lives and telling us what we need to slow down and think about, or what we need to be prepared for as we get to the next level of growth. Just like you want to be thinking about, what is it going to take in order to do the things that I'm wanting to do? What is it going to take in order to gear up and be the kind of business that can provide the service that I want to provide at the level I want to provide it? That's just good partnering.
Yep. So let me go this. I've talked about, and you are a creative guy. And you've also got that techie side. I know sometimes, in fact, you and I had a conversation this morning, and you're talking analytics, and I'm talking one thing, and you're talking another. A lot of times, what I'm thinking and the words you're saying may mean the same thing, but you know those terms. So tell me about how you've blended the creative side with the tech side, and then how do you take this? And let's face it, today's an ever-changing market. Online, it changes. In fact, earlier today, I know that I was sitting on a webinar here, and Taylor and Jonathan were sitting on the same webinar in Nashville, and we were actually texting back and forth during that. So how do you make this all work, and how does this work in what we're going to call this ever-changing, because it changes every day. You guys have to continuously be working. So give me how that works for Carter.
Yeah, so I'm a creative problem solver. I think that's my personality. When and the people that work for us here know, if they come to me with a problem, it better be a really juicy problem that's going to take some good research, because I love sinking my teeth into that, and I can get lost in that really quick too. But if it's the kind of problem that just going and doing a Google search is going to solve, then you better have done that before you bring it to me, because I like the juicy problems. And so creativity and technology to me are just two sides of the same coin. You have a creative idea, something that you want to bring forth in the world or in your business, then you've got to figure out the technology part that you need in order to make that happen. So for me, learning to design a website was just the thing that I did when I needed to get attention drawn to the creative thing that I was trying to, make happen in my life. So I just, I wanted to make this business idea work, and I needed a website in order to make that happen. So I got to figure out how to do a website, and I can't afford to pay somebody to do it. Well, how hard can it be? Well, I'm going to go learn how to do it. Well, it turns out it was a lot harder than I thought it was going to be, but I also enjoyed it and had the propensity for it because it was creative problem solving. And so I just dove in. I was privileged to be the chief creative officer for a small startup here in Nashville back in the day when, you know, Facebook was just getting really going. Twitter was a brand new thing. Google wasn't even playing in the social media space yet. Everybody was a startup. The bubble hadn't really happened yet. And, you know, you could just mention in a restaurant that you were about to launch a technology startup, and if the right person overheard you on the, you know, at the table next to you, you could walk away with 6 figures in investment ready to go. I mean, it used to be that kind of crazy cowboy, you know, Wild West world where ideas were getting funded left and right, and we got funded a small round of funding, and we had a lot of fun playing in the social media space, and I learned a tremendous amount about the technology world and the creative world, the social world, and how all those things come together. And that really prepared me for learning about the online marketing space and how it works. And I played with mostly larger companies at the time, but there came a point where that just was dissatisfying. Gearing up, spending thousands of dollars to put together proposals for large corporations that were asking for the same kind of proposal from 5 other agencies just like yours. You gear up, you do the big pitch, and then you sit back and wait for approval. You get the approval, and then you've got to change your entire business to fit the fulfillment of that proposal. You've got to hire the right people for that proposal to work and to deliver the products that you've promised. And then at the end of it all, you know, you're scrambling trying to put together a new proposal and drum up enough work to keep all the people you've just hired employed. And it's a cash flow roller coaster, and I hated it. I hated every minute of it. And when we started working with small service businesses and seeing the needs that they had in online marketing, we realized that they were underserved. They couldn't get the kind of service that they needed. You know, the Yellow Pages of the world and the Yex and the Reach Locals, they were sales organizations that knew how to sell it and promise big results, but they rarely delivered. And we saw an opportunity to really come in with a strong customer service ethic and really deliver for the little guy, the guy who's running around in his truck looking to expand. He's maybe got 2 trucks running, and he wants to get out of the field, get in the office, and really turn this thing into that next level business. We saw an opportunity to partner with that guy and really help him get there. And that has been the most rewarding thing I think we've ever done. And, you know, we pride ourselves in being cutting edge and being on the front line of what's going on in online marketing. And there's still times where we hear from a client about something going on before we've had a chance to fully flesh it out ourselves. But we jump on it quickly, we learn what we need to know, and we become the clearinghouse for our clients a lot of times to understand what's going on so that they can focus on their nuts and bolts in their business and let us focus on advising them on the steps and the strategies that are proven, not necessarily jumping on something before it's time, but jumping on it when we know it's going to make the wheels turn for them and really produce a result.
Yep. And you know, as you know, when I developed myself going through what I've done and I've went through and what we've tried to build in my company is, and we saw that one of the weaknesses was the ability of sales and sales presentation. And that's why I went through the sales coaching certifications I did to build on that side. And as I went through my sales, that actually opened my eyes up to the importance of the website, the online presence. I mean, I'm sitting in a sales class getting ready to go out and teach Jeffrey Gitomer principles, and it's being drilled into me the importance of all the online stuff that we do. I mean, one of the factors I found out was that, and this was a year and a half ago, and it's risen since then, but 92% of the population consults an online source of some type before they make a purchase, locally or whatever. So as we're talking, we talked a while ago and you said small business. For most small service businesses, this is not corporate America that says, hey, here's a pile of money, you go do it, and we're going to play. We have people that have a limited budget for web design, for marketing. So if you got somebody and they're sitting there listening like, okay, I got to build my online presence. What do you tell them? What's the most important thing that this person needs to do to focus on first? We got to get to first base. So what is that tool that's going to take us to what I'm going to call first base in my online presence, Carter?
Boy, that is a great question, because oftentimes we get the opposite of that. We get the guy who has spent hours and, thousands of dollars chasing a lot of strategies that just are not producing well for him, and he's so spread out across the internet with strategies that haven't been successful, and he doesn't understand why, and he doesn't know how to clean that up or what to start with and really focus on in the beginning. So I appreciate you asking that question. I think for a small service business, the absolute first step is getting a rock solid website that is going to do the job of selling a customer on why they should choose their company instead of someone else in the same market. And I think the tools for doing that are often different than what a small business owner thinks about. I think a website needs to be designed in a specific way that accomplishes that specific goal, and I think that ends up looking different than how most people think it looks. And we can get into that a little bit more, but first things first, have a rock solid website, because it serves as the hub of everything else that you're going to do. When you are telling people about the opportunity of working with you, when you're telling people about your products and your services, they're going to hear from neighbors, they're going to see your truck riding down the road, they're going to see you maybe in a review online, but all of those places are going to have a website. They're going to go in search of, where do I find the information that I need to know? And the website really is the hub of that. It serves as the central place that everybody goes. Any other kind of advertising that you're going to do as you grow, even if you're still doing legacy kinds of advertising like Yellow Book or Yellow Pages, if you're doing billboard advertising or flyers or direct mail, all of those pieces are going to have www.yourdomain.com on that piece. And you would be amazed how many people are going to click on that just to see what they see before they make the phone call.
Yep. So, as we say this, so let me ask you this. One of the things that I've been taught is it's one thing to get them to your website. It's another one to retain the attention to go deeper. I know as I look at websites, a lot of times I can go look at a website and it has a monumental amount of information in it, but that front page just doesn't get me. It doesn't give me my message. It doesn't say, hey, look deeper. So, and from this, tell me if this is true. I've heard that people will click on a website homepage, the landing page, and if it doesn't say, come inside in a way, that person's going to click somewhere else, and you've lost that opportunity. Am I right or wrong?
You have, the statistics show, less than 3 seconds to convince somebody that they've clicked on the right link and arrived at the right website. And that 3 seconds actually looks a little bit different, because when you do all this brain study, I know you mentioned this, that I'm fascinated by how the brain works when you're introducing me, and I absolutely am. And there's new brain research to show that that 3 seconds is actually the time that it takes for a person to not only make the decision, am I in the right place? Is this the information that I'm looking for? But that 3 seconds also includes the time that it takes the brain to tell the finger to click the mouse to go back to keep searching. So you actually have about 1.5 seconds. The brain has already made its decision in less than 1.5 seconds. about whether it's going to stick around, and it takes the rest of that 3 seconds for the brain to tell the finger to click the mouse to go back.
Yep. I mean, even as I look at it on the slide on the screen right now, if you look, that's a Carter Harkins design. And what I'm looking at is I'm looking at a slide that I pulled up that says ignite your market. And if you look in the background, there's typewritten. Well, realistically, more than likely, we don't see it. But the mind does get this, and you see the words. Yeah, when I look at this, help local service businesses grow and thrive. These are the type words, and this is what each business has to do is get those words that the customer understands. And I've often said this, many people market in a way that only their competitor gets it. And what you've got to do is market where the customer gets it. You've got to think like the customer. Are you in agreement on that, on your design services?
Oh my gosh, let me tell you this. So, we do a very good job of helping our customers tell the story that they need to tell to find the kinds of customers that they need in their business, right? So we have some distance there, because we don't own their business, we own our business. We have some objectivity that we can bring to the table to help them find their story and tell it really well. But let me tell you, finding our own story in our own business as Spark Marketer has been a challenge because we're too close to it. We can't see the forest for the trees. So we bring in experts. We invest money in order to find out how to tell our story better to find the kinds of customers that we need to connect with. And it's not a deceptive sort of thing. It's about, there are certain customers that are going to be more valuable to you and that you're going to do a better job of serving than other customers. We have those same kinds of customers. There's going to be those customers that we knock it out of the park for, and they really appreciate the work that we've done. And there's those customers that we can provide a really good result to, but they don't understand the value of what we've done for them. Do we want to work for those, or would we rather work with the ones that not only get the value but also appreciate what we've done? Of course, we want to work with the ones that have appreciated what we've done. And so in order for us to tell that story effectively, connect with those kinds of customers that we really want in our business, we have to get help from outside people, outside our own business, marketing experts who can help us tell that story more effectively. So everybody needs that someone in their business that can help them figure out, how do I write the copy? How do I present the images? How do I tell the story of who we are in a way that connects me not just with more people, but connects me with the right people that I want in my business that are going to bring the kind of value and help me create the kind of company that I want to create. That's going to be the kind of dream business that I want to operate.
Yep. So let me throw this at you. The purpose of this is not to sell Spark Marketer, okay? And I hope you will understand that. But here I am. I'm going to put myself in the role of, I own a small service to medium-sized service business. I've been doing my own website, and I'm looking, and finally I'm saying, hey, I got to do what I do good, and probably somebody can do this better. But this is a scary thing for me. This is really scary. My wife was like this when she did her own website for years and actually let you guys have it one time. But that was a bit of paranoia with her. It's like, okay, I'm giving my baby to someone else. So I'm in that situation, or I'm starting a business or whatever. And now I'm in the market for this company that's gonna command this market, who's gonna help me own it. So who do I go to? How do I make sure that I'm dealing with the company and the right people, the people who understand me and the people that can help me get my market? What am I looking for, Carter, to get me there?
Boy, that's good, Jerry. Because we see every day marketing services that are so broad in terms of the types of clients that they're willing to take on. I can't imagine how they're providing really good value to those customers, because they're not picky enough about the kinds of clients that they want to work with. So I'll give you an example. A local marketing agency here in town, they work with dentists, they work work with lawyers, they work with manufacturing companies, they work with politicians, they work with musicians, they work with local service businesses, they work with companies that build products or make consumer products and have brands, consumer brands. They work with clothing boutiques, they work with restaurants, and I'm thinking, dude, I don't want to be that kind of marketing agency, because every single phone call your business gets, every client that calls you, if it's a 15-minute phone call, you're going to spend 12 of those minutes just taking off the hat that you were wearing before the phone call started and putting on the hat for that client and trying to think like that client thinks for their particular kind of business and all the realities of their particular kind of business. They're going to be thinking, okay, this is a restaurant, so the people that are coming to their business are probably finding them on Yelp or OpenTable or one of those directories online. I need to think about where those customers are coming from, what kinds of customers, what kind of neighborhood they're in, what kind of food they serve, what their price point is, and try to remember how that's different than this is difficult because I just went to lunch with our big law firm and I was thinking about all theirs, and that's not what this is. And so they're just so much of the money that a company is going to spend with their marketing partner gets wasted just waiting for that marketing company to come up to speed so that they can do the job that they've been hired to do. And I know that can sound really critical, and I know there's probably marketing companies that are going to hear this and go, dude, you're being a little bit harsh. But, it's the reality of you don't want to talk to somebody, a design company, or a marketing service company that is talking in broad generalities about what they can do to help you. You want to talk to somebody who is going to go immediately dive deep into the specifics of your business and is going to show you that they understand not just how to create a pretty website and make your logo shiny and pretty and, help you get more customers, and we're going to create campaigns that are going to help you connect with your customers in social media and online. And you need to hear somebody say, tell me about the seasonality of your business. Is it like other businesses in because we have a client like this that's in a similar market to you, and it's very do you have the same kind of seasonality? Or tell me about your trucks. How do you measure the success of your business? Is it based on what each truck makes for your business, or is it based on, do you have separate salespeople that go into the field and bid the jobs, and then it's a different truck or a different crew that goes out and actually does the work? Those are the kinds of questions I want to hear a marketing company ask, because those are the kinds of questions that tell me this company isn't going to just make pretty for the sake of pretty. They're not going to just make my site with all the bells and whistles and make it jump through hoops and do backflips. They're going to design the kind of site for me that is going to help me propel my business and my systems that I've built in my business to really generate revenue in a way that doesn't disrupt everything else that I'm trying to build in my business. So you need a marketing partner who really needs to understand your business at that kind of level.
So you got to have somebody that understands. You got to have somebody that I feel like you've got to be able to connect with them. Somebody's got to understand. And I feel like it's got to be a company that truly cares. And I feel like it's got to be a company that has their mission to exceed my expectations. Is that a good statement, Bill?
If the conversation, when you sit down with a marketing or a creative company, and I'll draw a distinction here, there's a difference between a marketing company and a creative design company, and I want to make that very clear, because I'm a creative guy. Let me tell you though, we do not sell our business any longer, and I used to. Okay, I mean the company name before we became Spark Marketer was Harkins Creative, and creative was a part of our name because we focused on all of the creative services. Now there was a reason for that, because the kinds of clients that we worked with were they were training organizations that went into large Fortune 500 companies and Fortune 50 companies and provided sales training and provided HR training and other things. And so they had their training materials that they came to us with, and we put the pretty on it. We put the design polish on it so that they could take it in and sell it to these customers. So that's a creative service, very much so. We're not so much concerned about marketing at that point. We're concerned about helping them achieve the goals that they need to put a creative polish on a product that they've already created. So Harkins Creative was a fitting name, but we were so underutilized as a marketing company, and we knew we had so much more we could offer to the small customer who needed that kind of expertise. So when we relaunched our brand and created Spark Marketer, we wanted marketing to be in the title because that's what it's about. It's about helping you get more money for your business from the right customers with using online strategies. It's not so much about pretty. And if you sit down with a design company and they're selling you on, let's talk about brand colors, let's talk about your logo, it looks a little bit dated, you know, like maybe you did it 5 years ago and we need to bring that up to speed. You know, those are all important considerations, but they're not the most important consideration. And if that's what you're being sold on is pretty and how beautiful your site is going to be and how many compliments you're going to get from people about how nice your website looks, then you're missing the bigger picture design objectives, which is making sure that the call to action is right and it's connecting with your customer and that we're getting more people who are turning into your customers because of the website that we've put together. And that you're getting not just more customers, but when they come to you, they're better quality customers. They're already pre-sold on your services because they've read the copy on the website that tells them that you know what their problem is and that you have the solution that they need at a price that, you know, it may be more expensive than others, but that's okay because you've already told me that I'm going to waste less time with you and be more satisfied because you already know what my problem is better than anyone else, any other website I've been on. Pretty, I can give you just page after page of research that shows that if all you've done is get somebody to tell you how pretty your website is and then they go find someone else to do the job, you've not achieved your objectives in business.
Yep. So you said a word a while ago, and I'm going to kind of gear you there because it was amazing you said that because it was actually the subject of my daily quote that I put on social media today. But you said the word brand and the word branding. So in actuality, I just changed the slide because, and this, you know, when you said that, I didn't even understand what a brand was until a few years ago. And when I thought of a brand, it was like, well, a brand of t-shirts or whatever. But then I found out a brand is a much more. So kind of give me what you know your thoughts of the word brand because like
Yeah,
you say I've got to make your brand a part of your success story and you can see the things I said there. So am I pretty well, are you in agreement with what I've got on that slide or what?
absolutely. To me, branding is the story that you tell the world, but not just the story that you tell the world, it's the story that your customers are telling the world about you. So I heard somebody say it this way, and I think it's a brilliant idea. Your brand essentially is what other people are saying about you when you aren't in the room. You know, it's what the world is saying about who you are as a company. That's what your brand really is. And if all you're thinking your brand is the logo and the color and the, you know, the language that you're using to tell the world, let me tell you, if what you're telling the world you are is different than what the world says you are, you haven't figured out what your brand is yet. And I think a large part of figuring out what your brand is hearing what your customers are saying about you. And, you know, if your customers are raving about you and I don't know, you know, most companies don't have the privilege of hearing somebody just, you know, erupt in spontaneous feedback for, you know, what they think about your company. But sometimes you may be in a situation where you're standing next to a customer when someone else walks up and they ask you, what do you do? And that customer jumps in and says, let me tell you about these guys. Let me tell you what they've done for me. Let me tell you how they solved my problem. Listen to that customer, because that customer is about to tell you what your brand is, okay? That's the most insightful moment you'll ever have in your business, when a customer says it for you. When you can hear a customer tell someone else what it is that you do, that's how you start to figure out what your brand is and what your story is.
Yep. And so I think we're in agreement on what branding is, because what I said, does it tell your story? And that's everything of what your story. And that's what your marketing's all got to be. It's got to be, what is your story? So, Taylor, I hope you got a little bit of a crystal ball. I hope you can, maybe I'm hoping you're one of those guys that can see in the distance. But as with from your expertise in online, and Lord, it changes fast, but what's going to happen over the next 5 years? I often tell people, well, the way you do business today to be successful, I can tell you that. But realistically, I'm not sure what we're going to be changing next year, but I'm going to have my eyes open to tell you just as soon as I can. So tell me, what does Carter's crystal ball say for the next 5 years?
Oh, that's interesting. I think in the next 5 years for service businesses especially is going to be very interesting. There's been a lot of talk lately with the big players in the online world, the players that dominate our space. This would be Google and Yelp and even Amazon. All of them are looking at service businesses and trying to figure out how to capitalize on being a bigger part of the success of those businesses, not only their success, but the success of a service business, but also their own success. How can they make more money from service businesses? And I got to say, in some ways, I'm very optimistic that service businesses are going to be catered to with new tools and services that are going to help them become more successful online. But I'm also fearful that some of the large players are going to create an atmosphere that is going to make it harder to compete on quality and make it more about competing on price. And we're seeing reports from Amazon.com that is creating a service marketplace, and everything there tells us, at least initially, that it seems to be driven very much about price and not about quality and customer service. So I'm doubtful there that I think it's more important now for a local service business to get the fundamental things in place that they need to have to be successful online, so that as these changes happen, they're not forced into a buying environment where they have to spend more and more and more of their money on Google AdWords and reducing their price in order to get seen on places like Amazon's marketplace, service marketplace. I think they need to distinguish themselves now online as much as they can for customer service, getting good reviews online and those things, so that in 5 years, regardless of what happens, they'll be sitting in a desirable place in their market and less affected by those changes that happen. Because ultimately, I think this is an important part to make. And it's not about chasing the strategies that are going to happen in the next 5 years. It's about making sure that the fundamentals of your business are sound, so that regardless of what changes in the marketplace and the ways that you market yourself, right, the individual strategies and tactics, that fundamentally your business is sound, so that you can take advantage of those and shine.
Well, that's looking ahead, So, and I think we're in agreement. What you've got to do is you've got to establish and work towards ownership of your market. And then you have to keep earning it. It's like testimonials. One of the things I teach, testimonials are great, but there's only one way you get them, and that's you got to earn them. They just don't fall in your lap. And I know one of the things I've heard you write about is how your workforce is a marketing force for you in the way it's put together, in the services they give. That's how we market, because, we could tell a consumer, hey, we're great, but that's just us bragging. But when our customers say we're great, and one of the things I like to see in a class is you got a customer and you're building with that enthused customer where he's telling everybody, you got to try my guy. That it doesn't get any better than that. So yeah, you can bring them to the table with what you're doing. But again, it all depends on the service and the brand presented. Do you agree?
Yep. Oh man, the most expensive kind of marketing is any marketing that you're doing to say that you are this kind of company, and that doesn't ring true because the rest of the world is out there saying you're this kind of company,
That's
and
correct.
you don't fulfill your commitments. You don't show up on time. You do lousy work, and you're overpriced, and not giving a good value for what you charge. Those are the worst kinds of waste in terms of marketing dollars. When you're not the kind of company you really say you are. I think that's, I mean, ultimately the question you asked me earlier about what would you focus on first, even before the website, I would focus on becoming the kind of company that truly is centered and focused on the customer. And if you can provide that kind of customer service, then everything else that you do in terms of marketing time and dollars spent is going to reinforce that message, and that's going to propel you to the success you want.
Well, I know that both my company and your company, this is what we strive for. We strive for our customers to sell us. Do you agree that's what Spark Marketer does?
I love it. I mean, I was at a conference this spring, and somebody asked a question from the back row. I wasn't even speaking at this event. I was just there seeing clients and participating, and it was and it was an honor. I mean, it was flattering, and I sound like I'm bragging on myself. But to make your point, you want an enthused customer that says you got to try my guy. And this guy was not a customer of ours. He was asking a question of the speaker in the front of the room, and one of our customers stood up and said, listen, I'm not real sure about what you're talking about in terms of the technical part of that, but I know you need to go over and talk to this guy across the room. And he pointed at me. Make sure you talk to them, Spark Marketer. Those are the guys, because they've, and just went and gave this glowing testimony. I mean, stopped the presentation just with this spontaneous eruption of praise for us. And now, we don't, I mean, I hope that we hit a home run for every single one of our clients like we've been able to do for that particular client. But the fact that they were able to stand up and say that and wanted to do that just because they so felt compelled to speak positively about their experience with us, man, I mean, that was a high point in my life to have that kind of eruption and that kind of spontaneous testimonial. It felt really good.
It just makes you feel good all over, don't it? So I know that you can't have business struggles. It just in my mind, I just can't imagine that Carter Harkins could have struggles in serving your clients well. But have there been times? What's your biggest struggle been? What is it, Carter? What is it that is that struggle that it might have been one of your toughest times, or how have you commanded that? Give me a little bit about Carter's struggles in creativity and electronics and how we're building this. Tell me what your struggles have been, my friend.
As the industry has changed in marketing online, and the need to create effective to bring it all together for a client in a way that gets them the kinds of results that they want, it's become more and more necessary for me to focus on the parts of design, the website, the way it looks and all of that. It's got to fit a certain objective, and sometimes that means I've got to sacrifice the design element that I want to see on the website, the way I want it to look, the way I want it to read. I'll be honest, I like pages with less text. I don't like a whole lot of copy. I don't like 750 words of text on a page, but I know that Google wants to see 750 plus words on the homepage in a certain way, and a certain design and a layout and things in certain places in order for it to be effective for the customer. And I'll be honest, that's a struggle for me. Sometimes I just want it to be designed pretty for the sake of being designed pretty and take pride in that design. And I know other designers that work with us feel the same way. So we have to play in the ballpark that Google has created, right? They own the field. They own the ball. We got to play their game. And sometimes that means that we've got to struggle with the design, creating it in a way that we know is successful. And we know it's successful. We know when we do it that way, it works 100% of the time. So That's a struggle for me. Some of the other struggles that we've had, that personally I've had with our business, is when a customer comes and says, I think I know what I need, and here's what I want you to do, and here's how I want you to do it. And we have to step back 3 steps and say, I don't think you realize exactly what it is that you're asking. And if I give it to you that way, I think you're going to be wasting your money. And what the real struggle for me is when that customer won't listen to the expertise of the marketing partner that they want to work with, and they want to keep forcing it back to, no, I know what I need, this is what I need, and I want you to give me this, and I need it this way. And I can go find that same service from other people, and if you're not willing to do that, then I'm going to take my business elsewhere. That's a frustration and a bit of a struggle. But I understand it because those customers they've heard for years from other marketing and creative companies that this is what they need, and so they're just taking their cues from those other companies, and they don't yet have a full understanding of what's in their best interest. And so it's our job to help them understand that. But it can be a bit of a struggle sometimes. Every business owner is passionate about what they do, and they want the absolute best for their company. And sometimes when they feel really strongly about it getting a service in a certain way, it's only because they feel very certain that they understand what their need is. So I always appreciate it when a customer says, I need to hear from you. Here's who we are. Here's what we do. And I need to hear from you about some of the best ways to get there. And can you help us get where we want to go? That's always a great place to start a conversation.
That's it. So, I know from watching you guys have got some successes in the business. And I'm sure there's some you're really proud of. I mean, from a guy that played keyboards in Nashville in a bar with a country singer that's right here in Concord, I found out the other week, used to play keyboards, and what you're doing now, and I know you truly, truly love what you do. I know you love it with a passion, and it's because of the things you can produce and because of what you can see. So tell me, Carter, in your life, in your career, what's some of the biggest successes? What are you most proud of? And tell me about a failure you might have learned from.
Wow. One of my biggest successes outside of our clients and one of the biggest successes I think as a company that we've had and that I'm most proud of personally is building the kind of team that we have that reflects the kind of passion that Taylor and I have for customer service and serving our customers. You can hire people that have a lot of technical knowledge in coding and programming and design, and the specific strategies that we have, but finding somebody who is passionate about service, who sees, Lewis Carroll, he was the author that wrote Alice in Wonderland years ago. He said something that I just think is it says it for me. He says, one of the greatest secrets of life is that you realize that those things that are truly worth doing, the only things that are truly worth doing are the things that we do for others. And I think there's just, you talk about beauty and appreciating, that's just a beautiful thing. When you realize that that one of the biggest things that you can do is help someone else achieve their dreams. And that's been a real success for me personally. That's one of the things I'm most proud of, is building a team of people that carry that same passion into the work that they do for our customers. To see them invest themselves at the same level that I invest myself, to care at the same level that I care. I don't know how we've done that as well as we've done. I'd love to take credit for that. Sometimes I think we've just been lucky, but we have some incredible people, and I'm really proud of that success.
Yeah, and the thing is, you do have some phenomenal people there. I've gotten to know your people. In fact, you actually, and a lot of people may not know this, in an attempt to understand this market of the chimney industry, You guys shut your company down and came to a training several years ago I did in Nashville, Tennessee. And you brought everybody in and just shut it down and you videotaped. And it was all about so you could understand more what your customer and everybody that worked for you was there. And then, Lord, the one girl, I can't remember her name. I just slipped.
Jessica.
Jessica. Jessica came back and sat through the certified chimney sweep training. And she sat there to understand. And I know she wants to take the certification test. It's like, wanted to know more. I mean, the other day, Jessica sent me a note. It's like, and it was a technical type question, but people that don't care doesn't do that. And I know from everybody on your team, and I've worked with all of them, and they've done stuff for me. You have reached a plateau, and everybody that's in your office is a very special person, Carter. I want you to know that. I recognize that from the distance, and I'm glad to see that you guys recognize that. But the whole thing about that is phenomenal people come from phenomenal leadership. That's what does that, and that's what you guys are presenting. So you have my compliments because you have built a dream team of people, and that's one of the things I promote. Is when we did our recent summit, this was my dream team, and you and and your whole company was a part of that dream team. So let me ask you this: we're getting ready to close this out, and I've asked you a couple questions. So tell me the thoughts that are in Carter's mind right now. If you could share something with the people listening, something that can make a difference, something that they can take that's going to say, this time I spent with this webinar was really a valuable time, and I'm going to take tools home. So tell me what's on your mind, Carter.
Well, Jerry, thank you for letting me, talk about some of this stuff. It's great. We don't always get a chance when we're presenting classes for CEUs to get this personal and talk about some of the bigger business things that are away from the topic of marketing. And I think that's what I want to say just in closing. We look at our goals and our dreams for our businesses, each of us, doesn't matter what kind of business it is, and we know that in order to get where we want to go, there are going to be things that we don't know yet, and we've got to cross those bridges when they come up, learn from it what we can, and cross that bridge, and hopefully know what we need to know so that when we cross the next bridge that's like it, just up the way, that we'll be prepared for that. And I just want to say, as an encouragement, one of the biggest things in my life that has made a difference in helping me be a better business owner, a better leader of people, a better employer, a better boss, and a better customer service professional is to have in my life people that I can trust to tell me straight what I need to know when I get to that bridge and I need to cross it. Those coaches, those mentors in my life that can be there, who are strong, who aren't afraid to pull punches, but can speak, the way that I need to hear it. In my own business, Taylor is one of those mentors for me, is one of those coaches for me who can call me aside and tell me something, and I hope that I can be that for him. But sometimes we realize that we need somebody else, outside of our business who can be objective and help us both see areas that we need to see, who can not only tell us where we're getting it wrong, but can help show us the opportunities that are in front of us that we don't yet realize are opportunities. You did that with me just this morning. So, I think that's probably one of the biggest things that, as a challenge, business owners, entrepreneurs, they're strong personality types, and a lot of times it's like, yeah, I know that already. I know what I need to know. I'm busy, growing this thing, and if you just let me grow it, it's going to be successful. And sometimes we don't slow down enough and go, how can I get there with less pain? How can I get there with less waste? How could I get there in 3 years instead of 5 years and do it with, $100,000 more in my pocket than I would have, spent trying to learn these lessons the hard way? And I think having that kind of coach, I think having that kind of advisement, those advisors, those teams, I think that's just crucial. And I would encourage anybody, to find that. And, we try to be that for our customers above and beyond what they pay for, in services. I know you do as well, and I know you are intent on finding other partners that your clients can work with to help cover those bases and strengthen their businesses before they go doing it the wrong way and wasting a lot of time and money and missing the opportunity to really get their dreams.
Well, brother, this has been a phenomenal, phenomenal time. It has shared some sides that I think a lot of people may not know about you. It has shared some thoughts. I think it has given some people some real value, and I think it gives them things to think about. You've given them the ideas of how do you move to a new level. We've talked about branding. We've talked about the future, what online is going to become. And like I said, you and I talked earlier this morning where I feel like there's a definite direction and we're discussing that now of what's going to be a new move to really capitalize and get to where we're going. So, Carter, I want to thank you very, very much for the time you've taken out of your really busy schedule day to do this. Like I said, this is presented strictly as a value to those who will listen to us, those that we can impart knowledge. I know Carter shares the same hopes and dreams I do, which is if we can help people reach their dreams, that's the true passion. That's what drives me. It's beyond where it is. When I see somebody like a Kevin Russell in Louisiana and his dream of a horse farm to help veterans, those are the things it's like, God, and you just sit here like, it's unreal to watch this guy speak. And Carter, that's the people that you are invigorating, my friend. This is the type of people that I think you and others are helping move to a whole new level, not just in business, but it's in their lives. Because here's the way it is. Our businesses, your business exists for one reason only, and it's not to provide you a job. The reason your business exists is because the business is to deliver to you what your personal dreams are in life, to provide those dreams so that during your life you can live the dreams that you visualized all of your life. Carter, is there anything else you would add before I close this out today?
Jerry, I think you just said it best, man. I think we ought to leave it there. That's awesome, and I'm just thrilled and grateful to you for the opportunity to be a part of being in touch with people and helping them achieve those goals and those dreams.
Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate that very much. So, hey, we're going to draw this one to a close. Again, this was our podcast interview with a phenomenal guy, Carter Harkins, a Spark marketer. If you want some advice, guess what? Give him a call. It doesn't cost anything to just get to know someone. You see them in a trade show, talk to them. Even if you're not their customer, if you're not their client, they'll still be glad to give you their advice. And I want to thank you for joining me today here at CBC Coaching. It's part of my passion, part of what I feel like I can provide to people as a value to them is these podcast series that we're doing. So please tune us in, watch our website, check our YouTube, like us on Facebook, and hopefully, just hopefully, one day you can look back and maybe, just maybe, my dream will be realized that you will realize your dream from something I've given you. So I appreciate you joining us today. Have a really good week, and I do look forward to talking to you next time. Thank you for being my friend, and thank you for being my customer.